Episode 2, English, The Iliad. How Rage Built the Western Imagination. If Western literature had a first emotion, it would not be love, not wisdom, not even faith. It would be rage. And the Iliad begins by announcing this unapologetically. Sing, goddess, the rage of Achilles. Not his courage, not his strength, not his destiny, his rage. A war that is already old. When Homer's Iliad opens, the Trojan War has already been raging for nearly 10 years. This is not a story about how a war begins or ends. It is about what war does to the human soul. The armies are exhausted, the heroes are scarred. The gods are bored and cruelly entertained. At the center stands Achilles, the greatest warrior alive. He is nearly invincible, born of a goddess, destined for glory, and utterly incapable of controlling his anger. Honor, shame, and a broken world. The conflict that drives the Iliad is not really Troy versus Greece. It is Achilles versus Agamemnon, the Greek commander. Agamemnon publicly humiliates Achilles, stripping him of honor. And in Homer's world, honor is not abstract. It is social oxygen. To lose honor is to lose identity. Achilles responds not by fighting harder, but by refusing to fight at all. And this is where the Iliad becomes revolutionary. The greatest hero chooses withdrawal. He lets his own people die to prove a point. Homer does not excuse this. He exposes it. Gods who are not moral. One of the strangest things about the Iliad is its gods. They are powerful, but not good. Immortal, but petty. They argue, cheat, manipulate, and use humans as chess pieces. This is not a moral universe. It is a tragic one. Humans suffer not because they are evil, but because they are small, and because they feel deeply. Hector, the other kind of hero. Opposite Achilles stands Hector, Prince of Troy. Hector is not invincible. He knows he will die, but he fights anyway, not for glory, but for duty. One of the most human scenes in all literature is Hector saying goodbye to his wife Andromache and his infant son. He reaches for the child. The child recoils, frightened by the helmet. Hector removes it. For a moment the war disappears. This is what the Iliad does best. It interrupts epic violence with unbearable tenderness. Patroclus and the cost of rage. Achilles' rage reaches its breaking point with the death of Patroclus, his closest companion. Patroclus dies wearing Achilles' armor, a symbol of borrowed identity. And now rage turns into something darker. Achilles returns to battle not as a hero, but as a force of nature. He kills without mercy. The river fills with corpses. The world itself seems to recoil. The death of Hector and the death of meaning. Achilles kills Hector in single combat. But victory does not restore order. Achilles desecrates Hector's body, dragging it behind his chariot. This is rage without purpose, power without limit. And Homer forces us to watch. The most important scene in the epic. The Iliad does not end with a battle. It ends with Priam, Hector's father, sneaking into the enemy camp. He kneels before Achilles, and he asks him to remember his own father. This moment breaks Achilles. For the first time, rage gives way to grief. They weep together, enemy and enemy, not as warriors, but as men. Why the Iliad still matters. The Iliad does not glorify war. It explains it. It shows how pride becomes rage. Rage becomes destruction, and destruction consumes everyone. And yet, even here, compassion survives. Closing thought. Western literature begins not with hope, but with anger restrained too late. And maybe that is why it has spent the next 3,000 years trying to understand it.